So, today I would like to share something that it's a very simple but very important concept that is very much part of our lives. And the concept regards a word in Tibetan that is called Döchung Chokshe. Döchung Chokshe means to have Döba means desire, Chungwa means small, Döchung, small desire, few desires, and Chokshe means to be satisfied. So to have less small desires and satisfaction. And this is a very important quality. One of the main, it's actually like, let's say, to be satisfied is one of the main keys for our own happiness. And at the same time, as we go from the other side, insatisfaction, this aspect of projecting that what we have is not enough, projecting that, okay, it could be different, it should be different, and so on, is one of the main causes of suffering at the same time. So, how does it happen mostly? We are in the present, we know a person. This happens with all sorts of situations, with people, with objects, with places, with all sorts of things. So we know a person, for instance. In the first moment, it's okay, that's what it is. But then we start to project what the person should be, what the person could be. The person is not what the person could be or should be, and this and that. We create an idealized image of the person, or of the situation, or the object, and so on. And then we start to become upset because the object or the person is not what it could be or what it should be. So when we have desire, we simply project our happiness into something. When it becomes insatisfaction, it is our inability to recognize the qualities and to enjoy the qualities of something because it is not as we think it should be. And we are very interesting because this happens on the basis of comparison. And we are able, like, if there is something that we really like, we really enjoy, then suddenly we see something that we think is better. Then we don't enjoy it as before. It is quite amazing how it works, because we can do something for a very long time, and then it's wonderful, and then suddenly there is something that is, we see something else, we see someone else with something different, then we are not happy with that anymore because we saw something that maybe would be better. It's like, one time a friend he used to joke, he would say, what's the only problem of traveling in first class other than the cost? Sure. What is the only problem that traveling in first class? That after you don't want to travel anymore in second class, economic. Basically, is the fact that once we see something that we think is better, instead of saying, okay, we enjoy it, and after we are happy with the other thing, no. We are unhappy because we don't have it, and we think we should have it, and so on. But if we should base ourselves on comparison, there are so many people and so many situations that we can compare ourselves with that are much worse than what we are. But no, we want to compare ourselves with those that have more, with the situations that we don't have. And then this insatisfaction becomes a habit. And it creates a lot of suffering, actually. And especially it manifests also through complaint. This habit that we generate of always complaining and not being happy with what we have. So basically we could say that insatisfaction manifests as the inability to enjoy what we have. To see the qualities and enjoy what we have. Because I can still have desire. I can still wish to have something better. But this doesn't mean that I cannot enjoy what I have. Keeping the same example as before, I can still say, oh, it's better to travel in first class. Oh, but I really enjoy my traveling in my economic. Oh, but the place is not big as. Yes, it's true, but this is still nice. It still has qualities. I don't need to suffer because of that. And one of the aspects related to it very strongly is the aspect of our complaining, Because one of the key factors of insatisfaction is the habits of our mind. And one of the main habits that we generate, that we create normally, that generates suffering, is this habit of complaining, of saying, oh, this is not like this, that is not like that, and so on. Okay, sure, we can have a perspective of desire of how we think things could be better. We should have that also. But we should be able to enjoy what we have instead of simply being insatisfied and suffering and unhappy and complaining of what we have, where we are. Okay? The fact that what we have could be better doesn't mean that it is not good. So it is really important for us to enjoy what we have. And one of the ways to do that is that of actually stop to complain. And then this makes me to remember one joke that one time we were traveling to Tibet. I think it was in 1999 or 2000, something like this. Quite many years passed already. And then normally when we would travel to Tibet with a group, what would happen is that we would pay in advance all the costs of the trip to the travel agency. And then let's say we would book a hotel that had the value of 50. When we get there, they would give us a hotel that had the value of 30. This was the common way. And we couldn't do anything about it. But that time, something different happened, which was they put us suddenly in a hotel that was much better than the one we booked. So we booked and we paid for a normal hotel, and they put us in a 5-star hotel, the best hotel in Lhasa, called Yakenyeti. So when we arrived in this hotel, everybody was, wow, how nice, what a beautiful hotel we are. And then a small group of people start to complain. You see, this is too expensive. Why are we in such a fancy hotel? We didn't come to make a fancy trip. This is too good. We should have been in a more simple place. This and that, blah, 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 blah. Complaining about that. Even though you try to explain to them that it was not regarding our own choice, we simply were there because we're the agency put. No, that's not true and gonna be. Anyhow, that's too much. We shouldn't be here. Then a friend of ours, she did something beautiful, Anna Maria. As we were there, and there was this little group of people, some people complaining, others trying to convince, and then others unhappy because someone else is complaining. There was this whole situation coming up. And then she just came in and she told this story, this joke actually, which was really, it suited very well at that moment. I will make it short. She told it very long. Okay? She made it very, very long. But I would make it short. The story was the following. She said, at one time, there was Noah, we say in English, Noah, and he needed to make this big boat, the Ark of Noah, where to put all the animals inside. So, okay, God told him to make the Ark and so on. So he went there, he made the Ark. I'll make a long story short. Finally, he's there. It's starting to rain a lot. He's calling all the animals. And then finally, all the animals are inside, but there is the rhino, and the rhino is still outside. So he goes and says, oh, rhino, please come in, it's time to go. And he said, no, I am not coming there because, I know already it's going to be difficult. There are too many of you inside there. I am not going to be comfortable. That's not good. I am a very delicate being, and this and that, blah, 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 blah. He starts, And then Noah went there, all the other animals, until they're able to convince the rhino to go in. Then, once the rhino go in, they say Noah knows that the rhino is a little bit not so easy, so he put him with a nice animal that would not bother him. He put him with a cow. Then, not long time after, there was the rhino Noah calling, and then Noah was saying, okay, rhino, what do you need? What happened? I knew already. You see, this is not good enough. I am very bad situation. This is not comfortable. And I am here. You put me together with the cow. Okay, the cow is peaceful and nice. Oh, but there are too many flies going around and this. And I have a very delicate skin. And this is not possible. And this is not good for me. I cannot stay any more near to the cow. This is you. I knew already. That's not possible. That's not good. No. Then Noah said, okay, I will change your place. Then he went there, he put near to another animal. It didn't pass much time. There was again Noah. Then there was, okay, rhino, what's the matter now? I knew it already. You see, that's not good. You really don't want me well. You really think you are doing something specially to harm me. You put me together with the giraffe. Now I have pain in my neck because every time I need to talk to the giraffe, I need to turn the neck, and she's too tall, and then this is making me pain in my neck, and this and that, blah, 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 blah. Then basically, it was changing one animal after the other. And every time, wherever Noah would put the rhino would say, oh, I knew it already. You see, you're really trying to harm me. You don't like me, or this or that, and complaining. And it was always a constant complaint. At a certain point, one complaint after the other, the big rain, the big flood finished. So the ark could stop and all the animals could go down. So came out the sun, stopped raining, all the animals happy to go down and so on. And who remains in the ark? The rhino. Then again, oh rhino, come down. And he was saying, no, first you asked me to come in. Then you convinced me to go inside. Now that it's finally comfortable in here because there is no one you want me to go out. I am not going out. I knew it already that it would be like this. And this and that, and and then no, and this is too narrow for me to pass, and I'm not going to do that, and I don't want. And then say, no, everybody, please come. No, don't force me. I don't want to be forced. I don't want you to do what I don't want to do, and this and that. And he was complaining again and again. As they were trying to convince the rhino to come down, there was a fly that was going around, and suddenly the fly just came and stopped in the back of the rhino. As the fly came down in the back of the rhino starts saying, you see, I knew it already. Now you're already pushing me, So the meaning for that is that once we start complaining, everything becomes a reason to complain and we make things bigger. At that time in Tibet, it was very useful because then we created the idea that we would give in the end of the trip the prize of the golden rhino, which was for the one that did the most of the complaints. And what happened is that everybody had a lot of fun with this joke, but nobody wanted to be in the person of the rhino. So everybody didn't complain. It was one of the best trips we ever had, actually. It was a really very nice trip from the group point of view. And nobody was complaining almost ever. Because whenever anybody started to make us complain, someone else would already make the voice of the rhino when this girl was telling this joke, And then right away it would become a joke and then finished there. It was really, next time Anna Maria come here, we should ask her to tell this story. But it was really very, very useful in this way. So the point is that the more we complain, the more we get unsatisfied. This is something that it's very clear, actually. And it's really, really, really creating a lot of suffering because when we complain, we are not able to enjoy what we have. We are not able to rejoice. We are not able to see the qualities and really enjoy the good things that we have. And remember, complaining is a habit. The more we complain, the more we will complain. So it's important for us to be able to see the good side of things and to rejoice about them. Still, I can wish for something else. But for the moment, I'm happy with what I have. Okay. So, to conclude, I just remember two stories from my teacher, Gelakpala. One of them was that once I went back to India after some vacations, Brazil and Italy, and I brought to him, to Gelakpala, 2 pairs of socks. Nice, beautiful Italian socks of cotton, nice color, and so on. I brought these socks to him. The moment that he received the socks, he looked to me and he said, and now what I do with this? And I said, look, Ella, can you see any relation between your foot, the shoes, and the socks? And he said, sure. But I already have 2 pairs of socks. I wear one, I wash the other. And he showed them to me. Then I tried to convince him, saying, oh, but the socks that you are using, they are not comfortable enough. They are not they are not natural, they are synthetic. The ones I brought to you are made of cotton. And then there is the part that the socks that you have, they are old and the elastic is not working anymore, and this one have a better elastic. And then finally he accepts the present I gave to him. But it didn't take 2 days. I saw other monks already wearing the socks I gave to him. And then I was saying, come on, Gelano. And then, but nothing to do. Another time, I was renewing the house, because the house of Rinpoche where I arrived, very nice house, but there were some things that when I arrived, they were really not okay according to my own background and habits. So I will start to renovate the house. Basically, the first thing was the bathroom. And it has the problem because the water outlet was a very, very small pipe that would get all the time blocked, and it will get full of dirty water in the bathroom. And then when it would be working, the water would go out on the small pipe on the middle of the courtyard where the monks would eat and do the debate in the afternoon, in the evening. So this means you could not wash yourself, because there was no shower. There was just a bucket to go like this with the water, with a cup. But you could not wash yourself in the morning. Around like 11 o'clock was lunchtime, they would sit there. 5 o'clock was dinner time, they would sit there. After evening, they would be very often doing debate, and in the late evening, they would go around there to do the recitation of the mantras and the prayers that they had memorized. So it was difficult to find the time. You know, between them, they would not care. They washed themselves any time, and the water would flow down, and it would not be a problem, really, you know. But for me, it was difficult. So, okay, so I called someone to renovate it, and then they came, and they were fixing this, and they fixed there, and then they put, okay, we put tiles, then we put a shower, and then we make this, and that. Simple, but according to our standards, simple. According to India's standards of the monastery at the time, fancy. And then I just was making everything. Then, okay, as we finished the bathroom, maybe need to do something in the kitchen. The kitchen also had many problems, not really problems, but not really following our standards. Like the place to wash the plates was a very, very, very small basin that even a plate could not be inside, like the one for bathroom ones. So whenever washing dishes, it would make yourself completely wet. So, okay, so change the basin, do this, do that, make a cupboard, because there were rats sometimes coming around, so we need to put a cupboard where we could close things inside well, and do this, and change here, and change there. And then one day, I wanted to change something in the living room, and here. Then one day I arrived at that point, and then Genlakpala, he told me, anything that you want to do, that you really think is necessary, I will give you my full support and help. But remember, desire has no end. The more you want, the more you want. The more you get, the more you want. It has no end. Devalatame. And as he said that, it came very clear to me. I said, it's true. And then he said, weren't you happy before doing all of this? I said, yes. Then why do you need more? And it was so clear that I was very happy before, you know. I had my cement floor with this plastic thing in front. Then now I wanted to put wood on it, and then I was not so happy anymore with my floor because I wanted to put wood. When I remember very clearly the day that I bought this plastic floor, here we call linoleum, I was so happy with my linoleum, you know. Then I learned that in this town nearby it was possible to put parquet of wood. Then the linoleum was not good anymore. I always kept the linoleum my whole life there. But it was always like when we see the comparison with something that we think is better, then the one that we have is not good anymore, and then we enter into that game, you know. So he was putting very clear to me, look, what you want is to be happy. So if you're happy with the way things are, why to change them? Because the more you have, the more you want. The more you want, the less you have. And there were a few examples. Like one of them was that I wanted to change the windows because the house was made that there was a sort of a big corridor, which was like the living room, to which all the rooms would connect to that. And that's where we would eat. There was a big table for 8 people. And the windows around up, the light was coming from up. They were not well done. They were made of wood, and they were really not well done. So what would happen was that whenever we had strong rain, with some little wind, water would come inside. So I went and I said, again, I like to change the windows. And he looked at me and said, why? And I said, because when we have strong rain, and remember we are in India and we have the monsoon, okay? We had months of rain there. He said, when we have very strong rain, there is a lot of water coming inside the house. I said, yes. And what do we do normally when this happens? I said, we put many cooking pots around and buckets around to take the water. And he said, is it that difficult? I said, not really. How often does it happen? I don't know, maybe 10, 15 times a year. He said, is it that difficult? I said, no. So why to change the windows? I said, okay. Then I wanted to change the table, because it was a table for 8 that only 4 could sit, because it always needed to be on 2 walls, otherwise it will fall down. It was not stable. Then I said, it was not really possible to fix. It already had a metal thing in the middle to try to hold it. So I said, again, I will buy a new table. He said, why? Because this table, it's broken. He said, why can't you sit in it? Isn't it working? I said, yes, it is, but you cannot put more than 4 people to eat in it. He said, how often do we have more than 4 people eating here? I said, okay, a few times a year. And then he said, and how do we do normally? And I said, we go to your room where you have a big room, and there was like the beds, one on the side of the other. And then the beds have like this sort of table. It's like being the Gompa, more or less. And he said, are we comfortable when we eat there? I said, yes, very much. Is it nice? I said, yes. So why do we need a new table? I said, you're right. I had no argument on that. So, but what he taught me most of all with all of this was he was showing to me that what we want is to be happy. And we want things because we want to be happy. But most of the times we are more happy when we had less than when we have more. Because when we have more, then we start comparing and we want even more. And the point of the socks is that the third socks is very dangerous. I'm not the best person to talk about this because I have a lot of socks. And I have an issue with socks. I have a lot of socks and I never find a sock when I want a sock. Anyhow, that's my own problem. But what happened is the fact that why he didn't accept, this is my own interpretation, why he didn't accept third socks. Because he knew, and this I saw in different cases, he knew his own weak points. And when we give space to our weaknesses, then it takes completely over us. So he knew, he said, okay, the third socks is very dangerous. Why so dangerous? Because it goes beyond the thresholds of what I need and enters into the space of the superfluous of what I want. Because how many pairs of socks do we actually need in a hot country like India? 2. You wear one, you wash the other. That's the answer that he gave to me. I'm wearing one, I am washing the other. Why do I need more? Let's say here we would need 4. 2 for winter, 2 for summer. But the problem is that when you go beyond the threshold of what you need and you start entering the threshold of the superfluous of what you want, then if I can have 3, why not 4? Why not 5? Why not 6? Why not 10? Why not 20? Why not 50? And finally I'm not happy. Because then I enter into the process of, oh, you know, this socks is too short, that one is too long, and this has this material, and that is like this. And then we enter into a whole thing, and then we are never happy. So, really learning to be happy with what we have, that is what we need, and not allowing ourselves to enter into the superfluous of what we want. Understanding that the more I have, the more I want, the less I have. This finally gives us satisfaction and gives us happiness. And truly, you know, I was more happy when I had less than I had more when I started looking at these house things. Then when I understood that, it made a big change inside of me. But until that point, I was just thinking and was not happy with what was there, and I needed more here, and I needed more there, and this was not enough, and that was not enough, and like this it would go on and on and on and on. So, one of the main keys for our own happiness is satisfaction, which is to be able to be happy with what we have, with what we are, with what is there, which doesn't mean that we should not look for things, how to make them better and so on. We can even do that, but without letting go the joy for what we have and what we are. Like, if something better comes, wonderful. Otherwise, I'm happy with what it is. And I rejoice about what I have. This is something that is a very important tool for all of us. Okay? So that's all for today. Just remember, Döchung Chokshe, small desire and satisfaction. That's an important quality to develop. Okay? It is just said in the teachings, there is one thing about which we should not have satisfaction, should not be satisfied, which is our virtuous knowledge and virtuous qualities. Something we should always want to develop more and to do more. Otherwise, we need to be satisfied if we want to be happy. Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar tinle chochur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasumgi drove munsel tatu ne gyuru che nimo dele tsende dele shin ninsen takto delekpe Kuncho sumke jinge lo, kuncho sumke ngodrup sol, kuncho sumke trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.